Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going way better than fantastic. And your journey to self-betterment is going way better than fantastic as well. Today, I wanted to talk about something very important. Something I've been thinking about. And something many of you have been talking about in the comments section as well. And that is the broken nature a great many of us have had and at times still have. In regards to dealing with toxic people that we might come across in our lives. Simply put, why do we chase after toxic people? Especially if we have great intuition regarding others' lives? But we can't figure it out for ourselves. You see, I remember way before I learned anything about narcissism or narcissistic abuse, I could see a situation that was going on with a friend. And I could tell them what was going to happen. What was around the corner regarding the situation they were dealing with and the person they were involved with. And lo and behold, almost everything I said would happen. Would unfold and happen as if I had seen it all before actually took place. The truth was and is, I didn't see it. But I knew it. I knew it. And I knew based on experience even though I was quite young. And I knew and could feel in my little cartoon bones what was going to happen. But if I was so good at seeing such situations for other people, why could I not see what was happening to me in my situation? And I think a great many of you can relate to this. And I think truly understanding what was and is going on can transform our lives so we can live a happier existence. With less toxic people around us in our daily lives. You see, toxic people don't show up being toxic oftentimes. They show up being a friend. Or being of help. And this is the sad part. Because helping someone or someone's gets a bad rap. It's truly sad. What are we supposed to do? To not want to help others. And this is the narcissistic society that is being produced. Getting it to where no one trusts anyone. And to where no one can connect with anyone. And if you do those things, people are easier to control because they have no support system. They have no family. And there are groups that talk about this. Destroying the family. And the number one reason why this is because individuals will become easier to program and easier to control. You see, there is nothing wrong with being helpful and kind. And there is nothing wrong with dealing with those that are the same. But this is where one needs to be sharp to see little and big changes in how certain people behave towards you and others. And while doing so, you have to have a limit of pulling yourself back. You see. And I've talked about this before. I will give an example of what I mean. If you have a person that grew up in a great home, loving brothers and sisters and mom and dad, and they end up going through a rough breakup. Let's say they dated a toxic person for about 6 months. Figured out what was going on. And got out of the relationship. Well, they will likely find help and love and things to do to fill their time with their family. Aaron Pizzi, who is an expert on abuse, has often said that though dealing with abuse is very hard for anyone, but if they came from a good loving home, with resources and people that care, they will likely fare very well and get through their problems a lot easier. Now if you take the same person, and they are dealing with a toxic person, their learned default setting is to find help with their family. Not to run after the toxic person. And even if they want to give them the benefit of the doubt and run after them, their default settings of safety within their family override such feelings in most, not all, But most instances. But what about us? Those of us that grew up in such toxic homes. Well, there are many things going on. First and foremost, narcissist parents train their children to try to fix the parents. In a never-ending chase. Simply so they can constantly get supply from their child. It's like we've talked about before. If you have to tell someone how to behave like a human being, the relationship is over. But this is something a 6, 7 or 10-year-old child won't know. And if this develops as a part of your character, it becomes so easy to repeat this behavior with others you might meet in your life. You see, I remember early on as a child, understanding there was something really wrong with how my mother was treating me. She lied all of the time. She would say things and say she never said them. She would accuse me of things that I never did. I've mentioned before how she would borrow my birthday money I would get from aunts and uncles as a child. Half the time she wouldn't pay it back. But the worst part is she simply didn't have a plan for our lives. And what made it worse? And this is the important part of this video. It seemed she didn't care that she didn't have any positive plans for our family. You see, everything centered around my mother and what she was going to get and her needs and her wants. Not her children. Now she faked being a struggling caring mother to the outside world really well. But the truth was, myself and my golden child brother were just pawns in her game. Much like many of you were to your narcissist parent or parents. But going back to the really important part of what was going on, or not going on in my household as a child, was my mother not having a game plan for us children. And most importantly not caring to have a game plan. And this is where I got stuck. Right here. And this was and is important for me to look at this origin of how and why I did what I did. I literally chased my own mother. In an effort to get her to see what she was doing was unloving. And uncaring. And even at the age of 8, 9 and 10 years old all the way up into my teen years, I would give her ideas on what she can do to help us children so we could have a chance in the world. And most importantly, I tried to have conversations with her all of the time. On why her actions showed little to no care for us children. And I tried to give her examples of what caring looks like. Can you imagine? An 8-year-old me trying to speak to my mother, giving her examples of what caring looks like. But here's the thing. Caring is a good thing. Helping is just fine. But we have to ask ourselves, who are we helping? You see, narcissists and other toxic people. Because it's not just narcissists that do this. But it's just an overall toxic trait. They will come on super strong. You think everything is going great. Maybe you feel like you made a new best friend. And you are making a wonderful connection romantically. I think you get the idea. It can be in many different forms. But all of this is happening. Then out of nowhere they cut you off. And they cut you off because they want to see how hard you will chase after them. And how much of a long-term willing participant you will be in future narcissistic abuse. Now there are others that do this as well that aren't narcissists. That have mental problems of one sort or another. But your response should be the same. And that is to understand what your default reaction is. And that is to chase. Because here's the other part of it. It's not that we don't love ourselves. It's because others didn't love us. We don't want to treat someone else the way we were treated. We don't want to give up on someone like everyone gave up on us. You see, I've met some wonderfully talented people in this community. And there seems to be a common theme of unrealized life goals and dreams. Because they were tangled up in a web of narcissistic abuse. Narcissistic abuse that more than likely started when they were children. And when someone like this knows the pain of losing out so much in life, they do not want to see someone else lose in the same manner. So they are almost begging this other person to see they are worthy. And even if this person isn't a narcissist, you have to ask yourself, what good are you doing? Because if they have a problem that is beyond you, you could be literally getting nowhere with this person. This is where boundaries come into play. I think it's perfectly healthy and normal to self-reflect on your day and different interactions you have with people. With the understanding, narcissists and others like them are slick in how they undermine you. This is why I say, if you can afford to do so, and you might find free options, where you can go to a group where you can do a fun activity twice a week, where all the people there aren't your best friends, and you don't hang out with them outside of the group. Everything is surface level. And the reason why this is important is, let's say you hang out with someone that says something slick and backhanded towards you. They might want to hang out on a Saturday. And you might say, I can't, I'm going to jujitsu, or dance class, or tai chi at the park, or pick another hobby type of group. And what you are not only telling this individual, but most importantly, you are telling yourself that there are better things to do than work through someone else's BS. You could actually be having fun with fun people. Or you can go and hang out with someone that will make fun of you, or that will treat you nice today, but then will ignore you for a year. Then pop back into your life like nothing happened. And during all of this, if you chase them, or try to reason with them, it feeds their ego and it feeds them narcissistic supply. And this led me to a really painful truth. The truth on why we chase toxic people. It's because this has become our default setting since we were children and based on our upbringing. Then you add on top of that, we don't want to give up on the value of another person, like others gave up on us and didn't see our value. But most importantly, especially if you've now learned about narcissistic abuse, it's because we don't have anyone else. When all you have in our life is this person, and then they go toxic on you, you don't have something healthy and positive to balance it out with. And even with such healthy things, it is still difficult. But though it's difficult, it's more tolerable. It's more tolerable going to jujitsu and laughing and joking a few times a week with your classmates. When your so-called best friend said something very hurtful to you last weekend. Or if you met someone nice. Or so it seemed. And they were just love bombing you. And then out of the blue they just stopped dealing with you like you were a nobody. If you have no one or nothing, it's very easy to get all wrapped up in your mind, thinking what is happening. What are they thinking? Did I do something wrong? Or shame for not standing up for yourself. Thinking, I should have said this. Or I should have did that. And the low feelings of, why does this seem to always happen to me? Why can't I meet a genuine and real friend that cares for real? Because you see, there is nothing weak about caring. Because that is a trick of Satan. And a trick of this world. To create so much trauma around caring. And I think this is how so many late-blooming narcissists are formed. Maybe someone is in the role where someone is trying to tell them they have value, when they see no value in themselves. And then something sinister seems to take over. They think to themselves, why is this person always trying to get me to see value in myself, when I have none? According to themselves. Then they think, okay, well, I will take them on a ride they won't forget. And that's when they reel you in. And truly take you on a ride you won't forget. God said man should not be alone. He created us to be with one another. But Satan has put a wedge in between man and woman. And in between friends. To where there is so much trauma in the world. Caring is seen as a fault or a weakness. Not as something that is good and right. This all started when we were children. It was a technique used as a way for the narcissist parent to get supply from their children from the moment their children are born, to the moment the narcissist parent dies and takes their last breath. And part of that supply is you ending up dating and or marrying other narcissists. And if you are trying to talk sense into a sociopathic narcissist about examples on how to care for others, let alone their children, this narcissist parent knows that you will likely repeat this same process with someone else you might meet. And we do, and we did. You see, caring is okay, but there has to be an off switch. And that off switch sometimes can take place when you have other activities other than dealing with this person. It can give you good consistency. You see, no one is perfect. But let me give you an example. My friend that passed away a while back. She was always narcissistically abused in her life. We were great friends. And our relationship was consistent. There was none of this testing, gaslighting BS. There were times we didn't talk for a few months. But we were always there for each other. Even if it were just to talk about nonsense and laugh. She never did one hurtful thing to me. Nor I to her. She was quite a bit older. And her age and her depression, I think, is what ended her life. Though she was elderly, or older is a better way to say it. I think she would be here today if she didn't go through what she went through in life. I didn't feel like I was wasting my time talking to her about her problems. Not one bit. Because she was just a consistent, kind, loving person. She didn't throw me away today and tomorrow act like nothing ever happened. She never had slick comments to hurt my feelings. She was just a decent person. But in today's world, we are taught to have domination over those we deal with. And how do you get this domination? Through manipulation, trickery, and tactics that are used by the narcissist. There's a saying, the one who cares less wins. Then you have to ask yourself, what kind of existence is that? To deal with people that you don't care about, but that you have tricked to make them care about you. What's the point? Except for an ego boost or narcissistic supply. It's becoming a default way people are treating each other in society. Simply because there is so much trauma in society and its people. But even though you have this trauma, and you have this default programming in you to run after someone, to scream to them and make sure they know they are valuable. If you, at bare minimum, if you have somewhere to go, or somewhere to be where you can just laugh and enjoy yourself, you might have enough time to slow things down and realize this person or these people, no matter what their problem is, are 100% toxic for you and your life. And if you can make an effort to stay away from one of them, and you do it successfully, I believe you and I can possibly build a new default program into ourselves. And that is us being able to hopefully see things for what they are, sooner rather than later. Okay. They roped me in and got me to care and got me to feel vulnerable for just a moment. But I didn't full-scale chase. I didn't full-scale do what I normally would have done. Yes. I made a few boo-boos in my thinking. But I did way better than I did before. And for that I'm proud of myself. You see, a great many of us that grew up the way we did, by and large, live very isolated lives. I've talked about the Rocky movies before. And as I've mentioned, if you watch the beginning of Rocky 1, when Rocky is walking home from one of his neighborhood professional fights, getting paid a meager $50, he gets called a bum from one of the people in the audience. And he walks home in the dark alone. He stops by the window of the nearby pet shop to wave at the dogs in the window, as they are his only company as he walks home. Then he gets home, and all he has is his dark, depressing apartment. A little music he puts on the record player, and his turtles and fish he talks to. No one to say good job, parent or friends to care. Just him. And then he looks in the mirror at his beaten face. And then looks at a picture of himself when he was a kid. And it starts to sink in. He's alone and no one gives a crap about him. My God. How did I get into this spot? Is what his face is saying. Then he gets up in the morning, puts on his happy face, and goes into the pet store to tell Adrian a joke. You see, Rocky was blessed. Blessed. Adrian was a good one. If she wasn't, she could have taken advantage of Rocky's love and attention, and most importantly his loneliness. But it appears she was likely mistreated growing up. And she suffered just as he suffered. But many of us live just like Rocky. No matter if our apartment is dark and small, or if we are living in a trailer, or if we have a mansion. And we hope to find someone as decent and loving as Rocky was able to find. But you can't let your loneliness take over your life. Put on your smile. Say hello to people. But it's so much easier if you have a place to go. If you have something you are good at or you want to get good at. And you can be nice. But understand, narcissist can use your nice and kind ways against you. So just watch for the switch up. And when it happens, or if it happens, don't try to find out why they did what they did, or why they said what they said, or why they removed their love and attention from you. Just go to your class, laugh and enjoy your day. God will give you the answer you need to have. If that person isn't a narcissist but they are on drugs, do you think you're equipped to fix such a problem? I can assure you that you're not. If they are mentally ill, you can only do so much. But you can't fix their illness. But if they are a narcissist or a variant of, you can't put love in their heart and honesty in their brain. All you can do is shrug your shoulders and walk away. And that's something you are going to maybe have to do several times before you meet someone kind. Remember in the movie, Rocky is 30. Do you think Adrian is the first woman he had interest in? If we can see Rocky's life, you likely see that it was marked with one failure after another. Failures with friends and failures with those he wanted to have a romantic relationship with. Even he likely chased toxic people. And it's hard to overcome. If you watch Rocky 5, you see he's clearly dealing with a narcissist in the person he is training. But yet Rocky still tries to convince him of what is right and what is wrong. When, as we talked about before, debating with a narcissist or a demon is useless. It's useless. Well, that's all I have for today. If you liked this video, check out others here on this channel. I've been at this for nearly 14 years. So I think you might find my work helpful and useful. And if you can subscribe, that would be great as well. I do appreciate you. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.